Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I have a battle for you that was actually pretty close, and yes, I know it's a low tier plane, it's rank 2, battle rating 2.0, the Swedish, the one and only B18A. The one and only is the game that I played because after this I finished my plan with it, which I will talk you through a little bit in just a moment. The plane at this very moment is completely stock. None of the weapon, bomb loads or performance upgrades. So completely stuck. And I have a plan. I want to get as many RP as possible. That means obviously winning, a bit of boosters, but also I have to do something in the battle, not just to contribute to the win, but to gain RP for myself. And you will see how I got greedy in one or two situations that in retrospect may or may not have turned out well, but brought us closer to the edge of losing, maybe over it. So my first target is here with 18 50 kilogram bombs to dump them all on that one bombing point, the first one. I sacrificed a little bit of my spawn altitude to get there quicker. Remember, this is more or less the raw shape of a Ju-88, and it has offensive armament, a single 13.2mm heavy machine gun, which is absolutely spectacularly good in my opinion. It might be even too good. I think they are not just on par but even slightly better to the American 50 cals. And the first customer of the day is the Heinkel 111. We smoke one of his engines and we continue with the SM79, and we're about to stall out. So yeah, I drop it and I turn around. The advantage of such a medium frontline dive bomber, which is the classification of this vehicle in question, is that it spawns at roughly 3.5 kilometers. So you can intercept at such small maps enemy bombers, heavy, medium, light bombers, whatever, before both sides fighters ruin the fun for both bomber sides. And also it is actively securing some of our victory points, as they are officially called. I get some hits on the SM79 at long range. I only have roughly 100 rounds left, and while I score some hits here and there, I'm not doing all that much damage. Now, the machine gun is fully stock, the ammunition is the stock belt, and I also have a few problems bringing this thing on target, since it is completely stock. So it behaves significantly better once it's fully upgraded. But now I overshoot him and I try to get my gunner on him, but it takes me a bit too long, and he is in that angle. So I want to descend, but there was the risk of me crashing into him. And so he's descending so fast that I have actively to overtake the control of the pilot again and hunt him. I look around, see nothing of interest, and now I think, okay, with only 17 rounds, I have to go back to base anyway. Maybe make those 17 rounds work. So the SM79 is also a not completely different type of medium bomber. It also, some versions at least of them, have also a heavy machine gun in the front. But now the SM79 turns over and just wants to observe the trees from the other side. First kill. So far it doesn't really look spectacular, and that's the beginning intermezzo, but a lot of people don't dare to do this in the first place. A lot of, especially bomber pilots, try to be very conservative, try to stay away from the fight, or rather than to actively participate in it. And you can understand this, you don't have the performance of a fighter, and a lot of people lack the confidence to at least try this, because if you try to stay away from the enemy fighters, eventually they will catch you, and then they are fighting on their terms, which usually doesn't have a well ending for you. Now I try to go to the runway because I'm out of ammunition, out of bombs, and I am slightly damaged. One of my engine has an oil leak. The problem is that there are now two enemy fighters relatively close by, only roughly 6 kilometers nearby. I just scored a critical hit, and I think that this is where I think the Heinkel 111 returned to base and had a little bit of an oopsie moment, but it was sadly not a kill. So I tried to warn the P40 from the Yak 1, but he didn't pay attention, and it was just a little bit too late. So now it's a 2 versus 2. We have an F4U and a Yak-1, both premium versions in other nations' tech trees, versus one of our F4U and a Spitfire. I use this opportunity to now swing around and to land the wrong way on the runway, basically, with the plan to still at least have one of the backgunners being able to defend myself from probably the enemy strafing. B-34 is landing. There is also another Corsair, again, a premium. What a fun time this is. And there are 2 more planes coming in. I hope that my team at least can hold them off. But the Kiev 45 just killed another of our planes, and so did the Yak-1. And I lost completely control over the aircraft, so this is why I tipped over, despite me going off the brake. The F4U is now pursuing our Corsair and actually set him on fire, probably in a head-on, so it was not a pursuit, but you know, get it. And I'm about to be repaired. I score a hit, and then I leave the plane and just try to not get strafed on our runway. I can't stand this. And if you look closely to the radar now, you can see that he's right on the middle of our runway. And the second he disappears, I know that he probably got shot down. I thought that they would prematurely strafe the runway, but in fact, all the remaining pilots on our team are actually on the runway. So they have nothing else to do. And so the Yak-1 at least keeps his distance. If you agree or disagree to this, well, depends on you, but I don't like it. So on the radar, I also spotted now that a medium bomber is over our airfield. I don't want to get bombed. And there's also the Kiev 45 in the vicinity, which is obviously a Japanese heavy fighter, and I don't want to have to do anything with this guy. At least initially. So the Yak-1 is now descending rapidly. He also has a smoked engine, and he's holding the distance because he is afraid of the AA. Now he goes into head-on. I have to accelerate with full bomb load in a stock heavy medium bomber, and now I score some head-on hits, but nothing serious, and he escaped. And now he tries to energy fight me. He obviously will win this fight. So I try to turn around and bring hopefully my backgunners to bear. But at 1 kilometer it's not that easy to score hits on a maneuvering enemy fighter. Okay. And then the Kiev 45 comes in. I try to turn into him, and then at the last moment I try to make the deflection shot for him as difficult as possible. I turn to 90 degrees to give him the least possible hitting area. This is very important in defensive flying if you're in a big lumbering plane, especially at low altitude. There is so much to defensive flying at low altitude in a attacker or bomber. It is incredible, especially with the overconfidence of enemy fighters. Talking about overconfidence, I look now at the score points on the top middle of the screen, and you can see that the victory points for both teams have nearly halved, more than halved. We're approaching only a third, and it's ticking down. That's an indication of this typical low tier auto win mechanism that I probably despise, or that I most likely despise in most situations. And I'm now looking at this Kiev 45 and I'm turning around, which might be a mistake because I'm going after an enemy heavy fighter, right? With only a single heavy machine gun in a stock bomber with the full bomb load, and I should have gone, in retrospect, probably more after the ground units, because actually the enemy team has the lead on us in terms of points, and 1 ground unit would be enough to switch the tides. So going head on with the Kiev 45, he receives some hits, I receive some hit, he goes out of the head on, I scored a critical hit, one of his engine is now smoked by my machine gun fire, and he tries to make a run for it and go back to the airfield. And that was probably his initial plan all along. And there you can see how many difficulties I have to bring the heavy machine gun on target. 600 meters out. I'm not really finding the target. He's also controlling his back gunner. Come on. 700 meters out. 750. 800. Pilot snipe. Yes! Second kill. Remember, only a single heavy machine gun. Now the points are below a third for both sides, with the enemy team still in the lead. And at this very moment it dawns on me that was probably too greedy. Yes, I scored a kill, but that's not really all that meaningful if I lose the game, right? And so the airfield is close by, and I write it in chat. I try to communicate with my team. Destroy one ground unit. The ground units at this battle rating on this map that actually count, you know, the blinking ones, they are easily to be destroyed with rockets, with bombs, but also even with machine gun fire. And every unit probably counts roughly 100 victory points. And that is important, so because one ground unit would be enough to bring us the lead again. But first of all, let's now land again, and let's try to avoid the landing mistake from earlier, so I'm a bit easier on the brakes. But I have to say, overall, the quality of this plane is way too good for 2.0. I've flown other 2.0s, which are slow, sluggish, don't have that offensive nor the defensive capabilities, nor the bomb load. So what does this plane do at this battle rating? I have absolutely no idea. By the way, yes, I know that I just recently featured another very similar plane, the B18B2 with the 57mm troll cannon, but you know, that was a completely different approach because I wanted to actively hunt enemy bombers, but also disturb the climbing process of enemy fighters, which you can do because also the grinding process is much longer. A little bit of a spoiler, I tried to make this a one spading match. And it looks good. I have scored a bombing point, I shot down 2 enemy planes, and I am the first on my team. But the points are awfully close, and again, this is now a little bit of a problem with the performance, because I do not dare to drop the bombs to enlighten my plane here a little bit on my own runway, nor am I sure that I won't take damage if I release the bombs at this altitude, despite the 2-second delay, because the plane is just not really all that fast. Also, the airfield, the runway, is surrounded by steep rock walls. So I have to take a little bit of a longer way around. And again, I need to make sure that I don't get distracted, that I take every opportunity. Ooh, Heinkel 11. So there is a Heinkel 111, and now I'm releasing some bombs because I still have more than enough to deal with all the ground units. That's what I initially thought. And so the Heinkel 111 is coming towards me. So to just zoom climb this guy and spray him with some machine gun bullets will not cost me all that dearly. I'm not really worried about his return fire. He is too low if he goes for our runway to survive it. So I smoked one of the engines, and that's probably good enough if he gets shot down in the bombing process, that I at least get a kill assist, which also at lower battle ratings and lower tiers is very beneficial for your overall RP income and enhances the spading process considerably, or makes it considerably faster. So the heavy machine gun is by now roughly 5 kilometers out, 4.5, and you can see how close the points are, 790 on our side to 810 on the enemy side. And there is the predicted enemy kill assist on the Heinkel 111 by our airfield AAA. Well done. I have the suspicious feeling that our AAA is working with aimbots. And there you can see there is the enemy Yak 1, the German premium, and also the B-34 is high above the enemy airfield. So this is what I have to do. And the enemy AI position disappeared due to automatic artillery strike system. And can I take down the artillery? Yes, and that put us in the lead. 560 points for the enemies to our 600s. So at this point we have won the game, but it's still close. And there is the Yak 1 coming in hot. and I try to align the plane in such a way that I can open up with the gunners, and the second I open up, the Yak 1 does some evasive actions, and now I turn into him. This is active maneuvering, and so I can make it significantly more difficult for this guy to get guns on me, only at severe cost of his speed and altitude. So I turn away, and again I want to align the plane in such a way that I can open up with the belly gunner. And a little bit of a correction here, dropping altitude even more. The B-34 is actually coming in, and the second that he pulled the trigger, he has to abort the attack run again. So again, this shows that he has a lot of situational awareness, that he's actually pretty well disciplined. The B-34 also has 2 heavy machine guns and 2 light machine guns as offensive armament, and obviously 150 cal turret. So the Yak 1 gets some good hits in on my flaps, and again, the second I pull the trigger, he aborts the attack. Again, he overshot me, and now I wanna return the favor, but he simply outturns me. I let that happen, and again, the scores are pretty even, so now I eliminate the next machine gun nest, and this now gives us a sure lead. And the second the Yak sees this, he knows he has to go for me. And this time, he doesn't abort the attack run when I open up with the heavy machine gunners, and that cost him a big fire. That cost him dearly. I tried to maneuver, but he gets also even more hits into me, but I killed him. Now, there seems to be one enemy player left alive. They saw another artillery strike eliminating one of those enemy AI units. I still have 10 50-kilogram bombs, and there is a medium tank. I am almost perfectly aligned with him, opening the bomb bay, and now cutting back on the throttle and releasing a series of light bombs. They need to score an almost direct hit. I have a 2-second delay, and yes! And that's almost game. So one more ground unit and we will win. But to now swing the plane around over the damaged left wing is pretty difficult. I also don't have a landing gear anymore, and also my left engine is shot, leaking oil. So I have a limited lifetime, but I'm pretty sure that I will bring the last few bombs home on the last enemy ground unit, being roughly 3.5 kilometers out. But you know what? Actually, the auto-win mechanic kicked in and killed on both sides one AI unit again, killing the last few points. And this is how we scored the win. But to be honest, look at this. I destroyed 3 enemy players. I killed also 3 ground units, 1 base, and 2 kill assists for nearly 39,000 civil lines, and more importantly, 9,641 scores, securing first place, more than doubling the score points on the second of my team, and also being comfortably in lead in terms of score points to the first of the enemy team. And look at this. That is a completely stock plane that can be upgraded now from the result from one flight. And I can completely upgrade everything just as I desire. That's the fun about low tier, and this is why I wanted to show you this video. One flight and completely spaded. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, on the waves, and in the skies of War Thunder.